Hello and welcome to another Blender recap video. And I know we're back in Blender, but it's just a quick one just to show the people that who are done with their Blender, you know, their work in Blender, like their models and animation, how they will render it out and prepare it for the final presentation. So let's get started. Click on General, go here, screencast keys. Right. Let's go to our good old sphere. Shift A, UV sphere. Right. So what we're gonna do is make a quick animation, right? And kind of show how to render it out, an animation rather than an image. Because I think the image is pretty easy because you just go file, or no, sorry, render, render image, and then, you just save it. Just go here, not open image, sorry, image, yes, image, save, and you can save that. But what about an animation? So let's go frame one. We're here. We'll press I, insert it, and then zoom out a little, grab it, move it in Y. No, no, that's the mistake. So what you want to do is move it to the frame. Let's go like 10, frame 10. Okay? Go to frame 10. And then just for illustration, obviously you're just gonna be way longer, like 240 or 300 frames. So just for illustration, grab it. Y-axis, go right around here, and then we'll insert the keyframe. Hopefully, yes. Ah, there it is. Okay, so there you go. I know it's a quick one. When Dr. said he like a frame 132, but I just wanted to show the full thing. So yeah, that's our animation. And now what we're gonna do is go here, go over some like things to optimize it, and if we go, first is render engine. You got cycles. If you got cycles, you want to choose GPU compute, and this is gonna take longer. But I'm just gonna demonstrate in Eevee. But for the people that which I think most of you guys are, I would say is this the render. These are render settings. These are viewport settings. Viewport settings is how you view it here, and render is when it renders each thing. And I think one important thing to mention here is let's go right here. I think this will be better. Okay. So this is how the render is going to be outputted. And you can output it directly as a video if you come to the file format down here, FFmpeg. But I don't think it's the right way to do it because there's some issues with it or it doesn't do it correctly. So we're just going to stick with the PNG. So you'll be wondering how are we going to render a PNG and how to make it a moving animation. What we're going to do is render each frame out as a PNG, and then we'll go to Blender's video editing software, and then we'll have it, put those together, and then it'll be like a moving, which, yeah. So here you can kind of mess with these, the compression of the your thing, RGB, RGBA, all that, um, for your preference. And yes, this is one of the important things why you don't want to do FFmpeg file format immediately. That is because let's say you're rendering your video, right? Because this one's gonna be short, but your videos probably will be longer. When you render them out, just in case your computer crashes or something happens, and you're not able to, it's just gonna break, so you have to start all over again. Whereas if you do it one by one, well, you can at least have some frames rendered even if something crashes, and then change this frame start to where it stopped, and then pick up from it. Let's just say it crashes at frame 5, right? Our thing's only 10 frames. So then we pick up from frame 5 or 6 and then finish out the rest. And then we want the end. We're going to put it on 10 because that's what we have. And then you can also have step, which is like how many other frames. You can help speed up the process, but I would think most of you guys don't want it, but this is a way. Just in case if you're working with really low PC specs and you really need to, get something to show. And this one Dr. Rick showed, it's a handy thing, is the resolution percentage. So if we do that and then we click render image, as you can see, you can just see a little bit of it, so not all of it, it's like the full screen. The reason Dr. Riggs mentioned this is a good way is that way you don't have to render out the whole thing and uh, you can just kind of get a preview, especially when it's like a really intensive scene. And that's it for this section, I believe, that I wanted to talk to you guys about. Then for cycles, right? If we're going with cycles, my mouse is being weird. Okay, viewport is when you view it here, so that's that you can mess around with. It's going to be lower. That way you're not constantly having the noise it dealing with and then having it denoise and whatnot. You can turn on the denoiser and the max samples. So the more samples you do, the more like, clearer and high quality your render will be. But then the more samples you have, the longer it's going to take and harder for it to render. Uh, 4096 is pretty solid, one for most of them. And the noise threshold, that's also one. I think pretty sure the lower it goes, the less noise you wanted to have, the more longer it's gonna take. Uh, those I would say it. And there's this nice one called bake. If you're doing some sort of like you want to show like physics or something, which I did for mine. And for that, you can kind of bake the animation, or not even just physics, just any animation you feel like it's really intensive for your PC to run. You can bake it. So that's something just wanted to quickly point out. And I believe that's about it. And talking about performance, I think I mentioned this in a previous video. Go to Edit, Preferences, and then go to System. And right now I'm on a MacBook, which is not ideal. But for the people that are on PCs with dedicated graphics cards, like NVIDIA, AMD, you want to go ahead and I would definitely say look up a video on something that helps optimize it, because you want to choose the correct. I think there's like optics or whatever, and you want to make sure you have your GPU selected and not your CPU. That's going to significantly help out. So watch out for that. And hopefully we can go back here and fix this. Yes, okay, we can. All right. So before we render it out, one thing I would highly suggest is that, where it's going to be output is the folder is going to be outputted to. There it usually just has the temp file as set, but I prefer to make my own folder. It's just easier for me to keep track of, so I would definitely suggest that. So we'll do that here as well. Um, so if we go real quick to here, and I have my computer graphics folder, and in here, is it gonna? Yeah, okay, great. I'm gonna put like, test frames, whatever. You can call it whatever you want. What is there a speech? Okay, test frames. So that's my folder. You can call it based on whatever your animation is. So my frames will be stored in here. Except, so we have that set up, and I believe everything looks good. And you can change the resolution here as well based on how much, how good you want to look at it. I'm just gonna go back to EV. It's gonna be significantly quicker because I'm just trying to demonstrate to you guys, and I believe we're ready to render animation. So it's gonna go through and you'll see render out each frame. And there we go. All our frames are rendered out. It's, doing this separate box and close out of it. And then obviously your thing you want to save, but mine, it's just for illustration again. Video editing. So you can go new file, new video editing. So when we go in here, I have this sort of timeline graph here. But what we want to do is click add image sequence, and then we'll go to I have my computer graphics folder. In here we have our test frames folder, and you can see we have the 10 images. And one thing that I'm pretty sure happens is usually they're flipped, so it goes from 10 to 1, like below. So if you put it in this way, then you're gonna have to kind of flip it around over here. Instead, just make sure it's going from 1 to 10 or in sequence order. And I believe shift select all of them and add image strip. And let's try running it. There you go. Okay. I know that was pretty quick, but that's about it. And you can just, adjust the same similar resolution settings and whatnot. You can change the N to 10. And let's see, go here. Yeah, so now it's just doing that. Now it'll put it into a FFmpeg video. Um, so now this is the output for the video, right? So it's similar to that, but this is the output for the video. So let's go ahead and accept that, set the path. So one key thing is when we render out the images, that's what's gonna take longer. Whereas this part is way quicker. It'll just what do I say, render animation. What is it? Let's go. Is it render animation? Okay, let's go check. I just forgot that. So, 1 second. I'm just trying to pull this up over here. Bring this here. Alright. Downloads. Let's check my computer. Graphics. My folder. Go down here. Is it this? Yes. Let's go. Let's take a look at it. There we go. So where we chose it, it you know, saved it there, and that's pretty much what you have to do. You can definitely mess around with these settings for your preference. I would say so that you do as well. But this is pretty much how you render. You have your animation, then the biggest thing is going to be just going through settings and choosing what you need. Then render out the images to a folder. I would say one that you can kind of track easily instead of the TMP that it already has. Then go into the video editor of Blender and then add the image sequence and make sure it's in the correct order, and then give the render image again, but this time it'll give you the full video. So yeah, that's it for this video. Thank you.